Alright, we are in the garage and the Luimoto box has been opened, and this is what the seat looks like. Yeah, this is really nice. Nice suede on top, it doesn't look cheap. This marine grade vinyl is supposed to be waterproof or highly water resistant, which is good. And here's the gel. It comes in this nice box. When you open it up, you've got this covering that goes over the gel, and I purchased a 9 by 9 inch square of it. Pretty neat stuff. There are no instructions in this box, but they do tell you to go to their YouTube channel and watch an instructional video, which I've done, and I must say that these guys make it look way too easy. I really hope I don't fuck this up. On the KSIX beer difficulty scale, I'm going to say this is a 1 beer job. I know somebody out there is going to say, oh, Kenny, that's a tall can. That's 2 beers. This is 1 can, 1 beer. Let's get this done. The first step is to go ahead and start removing all these staples. So one at a time, I'm just going to pull them out. All right. All the staples are out. Go ahead and remove this guy. Yeah, look at that. So the next step is to measure the center of the seat. We need to make sure that we measure the center and draw a straight line from this side to this side. Okay, so there is my line. I'd say that's pretty center. Pretty happy with that. So the next step in this process is to get the gel and pretty much do the same thing with the gel that I did with the seat. We're going to put it in place and then mark the midpoint and then line it up. This piece of gel is 9 inches by 9 1/4 inches, so I'm going to make sure that I put the long side, obviously the length of the seat. So now I've found my center point. I've lined it up on the seat. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but the lines are directly over each other. And the next step in this process is to make sure that you're covering the seat with as much gel as possible. In the video they say to make sure that your tailbone is covered. This is a pretty big piece of gel. I got, I think, the second biggest one, just so I could cover as much of the seat as I could. I'm not going to put it all the way back, just because that's the thinner part of the seat, it kind of looks like, and I don't want it to be overlapping, so I'm going to put it right about here. That way I'm not going off the edge of the seat, and I'm still covering as much of the seat as I can. I think this is a good spot. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some marks, just so we know where this lines up. Put one here, put one here, and one here. So when we come back later, I know exactly where this is supposed to line up. The next step in this process is to cut the angle of the seat into the gel. Now I know it's a little difficult to see, but there is a line here. Like, I can feel it with my hand. So the goal is to trace just inside of that angle, so that way once I cut it, if I can make a clean cut, I can put this side on this side, they'll mirror each other, and then there'll be a nice contoured piece of gel right where I want it to be. There we go. I kind of drew 2 lines, but I'm much happier with the second of the 2 lines, the darker one. And looking through the gel, I can tell it's right where I want it to be. Just on the inside of that line that's right here. So what I'm going to do is get my scissors, lube it up with a little bit of WD-40, and then cut that out as cleanly as possible. Alright, here goes nothing. There we go. That's a pretty clean cut. Putting it back in place on the seat, I can see that it is right where I wanted it to be. I think that's going to be perfect. And since I've got this piece now, I'm going to go ahead and stick it over here and trace it out, so now both sides will be even. So now both sides are cut, lining it back up. Everything looks good. It looks even. Pretty happy with that. Great. I think that was probably the hardest part. Beer break. Okay, beer break is over. The next step is to trace this pattern out onto the seat. Great. Now that this thing has been traced, the next step is to make a grid. They say to measure 3/4 of an inch this way and then 3/4 of an inch down, and then you'll make a grid. So the next step is to cut. What we're going to end up doing is cutting this grid pattern all the way across, and then we'll go in with another knife and start slicing away at the inside, scraping all of those smaller grids out. So I started cutting with this box cutter, but I don't like it, so I'm switching to this guy. I feel like I can get the right blade length and really make a much deeper cut, because the 1 centimeter blade on this guy just isn't working out well. I think this one will do a better job. And I was right, yeah, this does feel much better. This process is going to take a little while. Cutting out each one of these squares is pretty tedious work, so I'm going to go sit at a table and I will be back when it's done. I'm back. I wanted to show you guys something that I discovered that might make life a tad bit easier. In the instructional video, the person is cutting and they're doing like little saw actions, and that works, but I feel like it's slow, and around these corners it's really hard to get a nice sharp corner. So what I discovered is if I trace it out starting at the edge, not going too deep, just enough to break the surface of the foam, just enough, then I can make sure that I get to the edge that I want, and then I can go back over it again, and in a sawing motion or whatever works best for you, cut down to the desired 1 centimeter. I feel like that works a lot easier. So doing that, and then this first area that I cut, you can see how it's kind of like it ate up right there. This is much cleaner. So that's the technique I'm going to use to cut out the rest of these. I think it's going to work out much better. I'm still cutting. I'm about halfway done with this grid, but I wanted to show you guys how difficult this is becoming. So I've already cut horizontally, and now I'm going vertically. Every one of these squares has to almost be cut out by themselves. I remember when I said before, like, it's easier just to kind of trace them out and then dig into it. That's exactly what I'm having to do here. Trace the line. You can see how the foam is starting to pull. You got to kind of make it, pull it tight so you can dig into it. And then once you get past like that first little bit, you can cut down to the blade stopper. But I've had to do that for these 3 rows so far, and you can kind of see like in here where it looks like it's gotten eaten up. I had to change blades because it wasn't that sharp anymore, so I'm on my 2nd blade, and I will probably switch to a 3rd really soon. The sharper the blade, I think the easier this is going to work. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is start chopping all of these out, and once I get through, if I can still see these grid separation lines, I also bought this tool to kind of go through and shave some of it out. So we'll get to it. This took a long time, for me anyways, at least an hour. So this is turning into a 2-beer job. Drink it if you got it. Yeah. Cool. Let's start cutting some shit out. All the squares have been cut out. The next step is to go ahead and do a test fit to make sure that the gel fits perfectly inside. We want it to be smooth with the seat, and mine is not. It looks like it could go down just a tiny bit more. I don't know if you can see, there's still a lip, and you don't want to feel that lip. So what I'm going to do is take this out, use this shaver and the knife, cut it down a little bit more, and see what happens. Now that I've got the gel as flush with the seat foam as I think I'm gonna get, the next step is to put this liner foam over the seat, and if you pull it tight, you're supposed to not be able to see the liner protruding out. I'm gonna shave out this corner just a little bit. Yeah, that is perfect. You can see the corners are protruding up just a tiny little bit, but I still think that this is gonna work. Once the adhesive is down and it just gets pressed into place, I think those corners won't give me any headache. I think that's perfect. Awesome, now that it fits, the next thing to do is go ahead and pull this adhesive off and lay it down nicely inside the little mold that we made. So the adhesive is on there, the gel is sitting inside of the seat. I'm gonna go ahead and take this spray adhesive, shake it up. We're gonna put a nice coat over the top and then put down this foam liner nice and tight. I'm gonna go outside and do that. I'll be right back. So now I think we go ahead and start stretching this thing on there. What I'm going to do first is just kind of get it to sit in place and see what it should look like. And then we'll start from one end and then keep stretching and stretching until we get it on there. I think that's good. I think that'll do. So that's it. I hope you guys can see what it looks like. I feel like I got it nice and stretched the way that it was supposed to. I don't see any lumps or places in the cover where it's got slack. My only real concern is that these staples aren't going to hold for very long. But I'm going to fix that. I'm going to double them up some more. Put some more staples in a few places, like this guy right here. That one looks like he just wants to come out real quick. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's it. Ta-da! That's it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys stopping by. I know this has been kind of a long video, but if you have any questions, make sure you leave some comments in the comments box, or shoot me a message on Instagram. Let me know what you think about the seat. Let me know what your experiences has been trying to install one of these for yourself. And that's it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys next time.